You called down the thunder, well now you got it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the line's coming! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing what's happening with the greatest dynasty in sports, the Oklahoma State Cowboys wrestling program. I'm your host, Lee Cawthorn, joined as always nowadays by Daton Fix, Cowboy legend Daton Fix. Daton, welcome back to the United States from your big trip overseas.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely good to be back in the States.
Congratulations on your gold medal.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's exciting stuff to go compete and not get scored on, right? What was the final tally? 23-0 was your score count?
Yeah, it was just good to go get some matches in. First time wrestling since the World Team Trials, so it was good to make weight and wrestle.
Awesome. I know you got some more coming up before we get back into World Team Trials are in May this year.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it'll be my weight. It's whoever wins the U.S. Open will go to Final X. So his Vito's sitting out in the finals since he's a world medalist. So whoever wins the U.S. Open will go wrestle him at Final X.
Okay, well there we go. So that's a good opportunity for you. And is there anything between now and then? Are you going anywhere else?
I'm not sure yet. There could be a couple things I could go to, but we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening.
Nice. Well, good deal. Well, again, welcome back and glad you're back with us. So of course, we appreciate Isaac filling in last week. It was nice to hear about Cowgirl Wrestling and what all he's doing there and his insights on the team too. So with you guys both still being in the room, it's sure nice to get the perspective that we're able to get from y'all. So instead of just me guessing or any of that stuff. So it's awesome. It's been awesome. So really appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure.
The Cowboys went up to Iowa and had two really tough duels this past weekend, taking on Northern Iowa, who's number 5 team in the country and deserves it. They've earned it to this point for sure. And they were a bad matchup. Like they were a really, really tight matchup for the Pokes up and down the lineup for pretty much every weight. They had a good opportunity to either pull an upset or in some cases they did and they got wins. And then they went to Ames on Sunday, and Iowa State definitely been struggling with the injury bug lately. They've had some issues with their lineup, a lot of injuries, a lot of issues there with the Cyclones. Not bad issues, just things you can't really control. And they still came up and punched Oklahoma State in the mouth a bit there in the first half of the duel. And the Pokes stormed back to get the duel win. So from your perspective, 2 tough road duel tests here. What does that mean for the Cowboys and everybody over this course of the season? Does it help? Does it not really matter? Kind of tell me a bit about your perspective on that.
Yeah, I just think that we definitely faced the most adversity that we faced all year. And I think that that's a good thing. You want to test yourself in the regular season. Sometimes you get to the postseason and you haven't really been in those kind of situations, and you find yourself in a scenario where you might be down, or you never know what's going to happen in a match. But it's good to have gone through that scenario a couple times in the regular season just to prepare for later in the year. So it was good. It was good to see that. Obviously, there are 2 good teams, Northern Iowa and Iowa State. It was good to see the Cowboys just really just take care of business where they needed to take care of business. Obviously, we're really tough at those upper weights, and that's what ultimately won us both those duels. Was those last 4 or 5 weights wrestled really well this weekend.
Now you're all in big, big trouble.
You're out! Oh, yeah!
Oh yeah! Lunchtime.
Absolutely. You know, they both will started at 125. We'll start with UNI, of course, and they had a packed house for that duel. They filled up the McLeod Center there on UNI's campus. I joked last week that Iowa fans tend to turn into UNI fans, and UNI fans tend to turn into Iowa fans when they wrestle Oklahoma State. So there's not much love for the Cowboys in Iowa, but filled up their building. Awesome to see them have such a great turnout, and quite frankly, Coach Schwab and company up there deserve it. They've built a consistent winner, and they're able to hang on to their superstars, and that says a lot for them. I don't even know if they have a permanent wrestling room right now. So it's been really great to see them build up and be as competitive as they are, and they acted like it, right? You come out to start, and Troy Spratley got things turned around at 125 pounds. Big win, 10-5 over Trevor Anderson, who's a really tough opponent. And they've had much closer matches in the past than that. But Troy was able to get to his offense and score a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, it was good to see Troy kind of bounce back after having two, down matches. And that's what you want to see. You want to see him just get back in the room and improve. And I think that he did that over the last week or so. So it was good to see him kind of get back to what he's used to doing. Still he started the match a little slow, gave it the first takedown, but that's doesn't mean much. It should always take more than one takedown to beat somebody like Troy Spratley. So it's good to see him just continue to wrestle and score points and just continue to improve.
Definitely. And look, we've been saying it. The last person you probably need to worry about from a mentality perspective on this team is Troy Spratley. He seems to be out there for one reason, and he seems to forget pretty quick once something happens, whatever it may be. But you also touched on it a couple weeks ago after the NC State duel. He was going for it against Jet Strickenberger, right? He was going for a big move and kind of got caught up in a guy who's a bit longer and stronger, right?
Yeah.
But against Anderson, didn't really see the same type of risk taken, but at the same time, he was still going out and just working to get to a leg is really what Spratley was doing. And you got to admire that. He just seems to put things out of mind and just is going to go wrestle his match.
Yep. Really good to see.
Cale Hughes dropped his match against Julian Farber here. Farber's been having a great season, really tough. The thing that makes it a bit concerning is that it was stretched out into a major decision for Farber. Hughes just didn't seem to have much going for him in this match. They couldn't really penetrate. Just struggled into the day.
Yeah, Cale's still a freshman on the road in a kind of a hostile environment, I'm sure. You got to expect the guys that you're wrestling there, they're going to come out and give you the best that they have. And I think that Farber definitely did that. He looked pretty good. He was hitting just a little knee pull single leg, and he hit it 2 or 3 times. And Cale just didn't really have much of an answer for it. He just got to, be a little bit more intense going out there. I think he was just, he's been wrestling really well. So it's kind of a little bit shocking to see, especially, it turned into a major decision. But, I think Cale's definitely better than what he showed in that match. He just kind of got in one of those matches where nothing was really going his way, and he just needed to find a way to stop the bleeding and get a takedown of his own. And he never really did that.
Yeah. And this is really where the Cowboys kind of got on their heels a bit for the first time this season. Tegan Jameson goes out, wrestles a very conservative match against Cale Happel, who is it's tough. They're really tough opponents. They're very similar. They're both very strong. Um, Not as varied offensively as they probably would like to be, but both very good at scoring off of others' mistakes and making you pay with strength. So that's led to uh, a lot of really close bouts between these two, and Happel unfortunately has come out on top each time. This one in sudden victory.
Yeah, Happel's he's just kind of had taken, and luckily, he's in our conference, so hopefully he's going to get another chance to see him later in the year. But he's definitely got to find something. Sometimes people are bad matchups for people, and you've got to figure out a way to score. That's really what all comes down to. He can. It's probably going to take something different than his double leg. Everybody kind of knows that Taken's got a really good double leg. So he's going to have to vary up his attacks a little bit and just find another way to get to Apple's legs so he can put some points on the board. He's kind of relying a little bit on he has a really good hip lock once guys get. And, we saw it in that match and in the match against Iowa State as well. He's just kind of, the match kind of comes down to it, and the guy gets to his leg and he goes back to this hip lock, which, a lot of the times he can defend, but, whenever you give up your leg, more than once, it's, the percentage of times that guy's going to finish goes up. So, he just needs to stay offensive and keep looking to score in those situations.
Definitely. And this is a Big 12 semifinals type of matchup for sure. Andrew Lears exists. Sometimes it seems like it's theoretical because he hasn't wrestled a ton this year, but he is the favorite. He's the likely 1 seed, and so you're looking at it here with, and we'll talk about it, but in a bit. But with Jamison's loss to Frost as well from Iowa State, this might make it, make him a 4 seed. But right now, I think you are looking at Happel being the 2, Jamison being the 3, and that definitely makes for an interesting Big 12 semifinal because they are so close. To your point, they just how does Tegan adjust the next time they hit each other, which is almost certainly going to happen at this point. Carter Young dropped another close one to Colin Real Buto here, and this is kind of where he started. A lot of Cowboys fans are definitely saying, gosh, what the heck's going on, right? Because it's funny how it happens. It happens overnight, it feels like, for those of us that have been really paying attention for the past 20 years. But it turned into what the heck's wrong? Why are we losing matches? Okay. Well, 1, Northern Iowa is really good, and 2, Colin Real Buto is a really tough wrestler. Yes, Carter majored him, and CKLV. Duels and tournaments are different. Real Buto's coming off of Olympic red shirt. He was trying to represent Italy. Like, all this stuff plays into this, right? And this is just a close match. They're pretty evenly matched wrestlers. Stylistically opposed. Real Buto, much more defensive. Carter, of course, great on his feet. But it just kept it close. Couldn't quite finish it here. Real Buto comes out on top.
Yeah, Carter was in position to win the match. He, got a takedown, had a lead pretty late in the third period with probably about a minute left. And he was still, he was looking to score still. He was getting to legs really well throughout the match. He was just kind of, once he was getting to the leg, he has a tendency to kind of drop his head. And whenever his head drops, it just allows an opening for a scramble to start. And they were in scrambles pretty much the whole match. And then just the one scramble he lost, it was, 45 seconds left in the third period, and just didn't give him a whole lot of time to be able to work an escape to get back, in the match. So it was I think that Carter, obviously can win that match in a rematch. Just needs to, really focus on once he's getting the leg, either getting it up in the air, getting height, or just finding a way to finish quick once he's getting the leg, just to eliminate those scrambles.
And for Carter, it seems like there's a back to basics question, right? Like maybe focus on one thing and focus on this finish. Like get there, finish quick. To your point, how do you just execute that takedown, and then from there, let's work on scrambling and getting better in different positions. But it with Carter, it seems like it's mostly mental of just trying to take a step back. Okay, let's really get perfect here, and once you do that, then let's start layering in other things. And I wonder, I do wonder how much like some of this is just him kind of being in his own mind sometimes. I know he's another guy that seems to forget quickly, and he's got a very relaxed attitude. But sometimes it's you wonder what all's going on there.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to forget quickly and be able to move on like that. I'm really similar in that scenario, but sometimes you want it to hurt a little bit. You want to see the guy get a little mad and a little frustrated, and it just shows that that they really do want to win. They want to get better. And I would think that Carter's not very happy with his performance this weekend, so that he's probably in that kind of headspace now, where he's ready to get back to practice and work on some things.
I know that drove John Smith crazy. So
yeah,
about Carter, we all have heard that. So hey, end of the day, he's going to qualify for NCAA's, and what happens there? He's talented enough to go do anything. There is the crazy thing about Carter Young is just we those of us from the outside, we just want to see it. We just want to see him put these things together and fulfill that potential that we see in him. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Love the kid to death. I mean, he's just a great kid. So like just rooting for him to pull it through, and like let's start seeing the Carter Young that we know is in there. Caleb Fish really put the team on his shoulders here against Ryder Downey and pulled a big upset to kind of right the ship here. Sudden victory matchup. Ryder Downey having a great year. A kid that just came out of nowhere last year as a freshman. All-Americans. I think he may have actually. I think he was in the blood round, but he had a great year at Big 12s. He has had a great year so far this year, and Caleb Fish is never out of a match. It seems like he's got a gas tank that lasts forever, and that he has the ability to go finish late and again pull a massive upset for him. This is really a statement for Caleb Fish this year, and he's been putting a lot of those together over the last 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it was a really good win for Caleb. If you're UNI, you had to feel really good. Where you're at in the duel going into that match. You just won 3 of the first 4, and you got the number 4 guy in the country coming up at 157, and Caleb Fish just goes out there and worked a couple upper body moves to put some points on the board. And I thought that the match should have been over in regulation. I thought that he definitely had a reversal kind of late in the match, but they ended up only giving an escape, and then didn't really bother Caleb very much. He just stepped on the line and went and got a double leg takedown to end it in sudden victory. So just really good match out of Caleb, because Downey's a really tough opponent. He's been really good all year, so it was huge for the Cowboys to see Fish step up and kind of put the team on his back whenever they really needed him to.
Definitely. Well, and the officiating, I hate to call out officiating because end of the day, you try not to leave it in the ref's hands. But um, that was very questionable, and it is kind of frustrating to see. There are a few other instances. There were some really quick and questionable stalling calls. I think in Carter Young's match, he got hit with stalling really quick when he was, gosh, at the point that he got hit with that first stalling, it must have been 6 shots to maybe one on Real Buto. Real Buto was just holding center really well, but I guess that's the rule, right? So it's just some of the subjective rules in the sport just turn their ugly head sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating when you're sitting there looking at it and saying like, oh my God, of course that was a reversal. He's got him on his back.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe there's an angle we didn't see. Maybe Downey still had a leg, and at that point, shouldn't they be counting up, stalling? Right? It, it's tough, but yeah, it was awesome to see uh, Caleb come back and finish in sudden victory, and then moving on to 65, Cam Amin really kind of sealed the duel here because you're looking at the matchup. Northern Iowa's up going into 57. They're the favorite at 57. If they win that one, then you're in really great shape with a toss up at 97 as well. And Amin kind of just shut the door with going out and putting up 10 points in a major decision against an extremely tough Thompson who doesn't give up many points very often.
Yeah, I think this was probably Cam's best performance of the year so far. In a really big time duel, he went out there and just wrestled solid for minutes. Scored that down, and then got 2 more takedowns in the third period to go get a major decision. And it would have been really easy for Cam just to kind of do what he does and in that match 4-1, even 7-8, 7 or 8-2, whatever the score would have been if he didn't get that last takedown. But he pushed himself and looked to keep scoring for those 7 minutes and got the major decision, which was huge for the team.
Definitely, it was much needed to make up for the major decision at 33, and then from there, folks don't really look back. Dean Hamity picked up a major decision over Jared Simba, another really tough opponent there. And at the end, or towards the end, I know that Hamity would have liked to have gotten a tech, but at times it seemed like he kind of broke Simba in a couple of places. It was just, there was no answer for the offense that Dean puts out there, and then the riding ability that he has. Just it's incredible how talented Hamity is, and how confident he is, and just pretty much everything he does.
Yeah, he's just been so solid all year, and in all three positions. He's really good on his feet. He's continuing to get to his low single, and he's just a handful to wrestle. Whenever you're watching him wrestle guys, it's like, how do you stop this guy from scoring? He's hitting you low, he's hitting you high, he's hitting single legs, go behinds. If the guy gets to his leg, he's scoring. He's just finding a way to score in all positions, and then once he gets on top, good luck getting out, because he's a really good rider, and he's a really good turner as well. He's got the ability to turn you, and just makes it even harder on that guy to get out.
Without a doubt, it's just it's impressive to watch. I'm glad we're getting a year with him to really kind of open our eyes to, man, this kid just is different level wrestler, really, than a lot of what we've seen in the Big 12 or over the years. But moving on to the next one, these are two guys that we are blessed to see a lot. They're both absolutely talented, great wrestlers in Parker Keckheisen and Dustin Plott. And boy, talk about somebody who seems deeply unpleasant to wrestle. Parker Keckheisen is just a guy that has one speed, and it's doesn't seem like there's a strategy that is that works against him. Now I've said it a couple times now. If I have to pick one match, like if we could pick one time out of all the different times that Dustin Plott and Parker Keckheisen match up, I'll take Friday night in Philadelphia over Friday night in Cedar Rapids. But it's Keckheisen's so good, and it's hard to deny that.
Yeah, Kick guys, and he just kind of speaks for himself. Watching him wrestle, he's really good wrestler. In all positions, he can score on his feet in multiple ways. It's just a tough matchup. It's a tough matchup for Plott. But I'm still confident in Dustin's ability to win that match. He's might have to have a little different approach going into the match than he has in the past. But you still got to wrestle that match. They're probably going to hit 2 more times, and that's just 2 more opportunities for him to get his hand raised. And I think that Plott can definitely do that. He's just got to go back to the drawing boards, and it's probably going to have to slow the match down a little bit. I don't think you want to get into a shootout with Parker Keckheisen. Because once he kind of gets going, he's really hard to stop. You watch the match in the All-Star duel with him and Starocki, and it was a kind of one of those one takedown matches. And he obviously got beat in that match, and you don't see him in those kind of matches very often. So I think you definitely got to find a way to slow him down a little bit next time that they hit.
Yeah, it is an interesting dynamic there, because last year Dustin's strategy was definitely to go out and punch him in the mouth, try to get into a shootout. And it worked in the duel to an extent, as much as it could. And then this year it seems like there's a desire to slow it down, and Keckheisen forces pace. And I'm curious how you can respond to that. Like, how do you slow it? How do you wrestle the match on your terms against a guy like that? It's difficult. Heck, it's hard against everybody, right? Because all of you are at this level. But it's got to be hard to kind of just think through. Like, I got 2 more opportunities. What am I going to change next time? I probably have 2 more. And nothing's guaranteed. But what am I going to do this next time? What can I learn from these last 2 matches? And how do I apply it and make it a match that I'm going to go out and take this thing from them? Because that's what you got to do. You just ultimately you're the guy that's going to have to take it from them. And Plott's definitely capable. He's talented enough. He's got the grit. He's got the heart. All the intangible cliche stuff, right? How is he going to do it? And I'm really excited to see it, because I think he's got the resources for sure to help him put together a good plan. It's just executing it. It's on him,
Yeah, definitely. He's just got to, he's got to put all those matches in the past. Obviously he's lost some pretty big matches to him, but you just got to put it in the past and move forward with your training over the next couple months, and you just keep believing. Keep believing that you're the best guy at the weight, and that you can beat anybody. And he knows that he can beat anybody in the weight. You just got to do it when it matters most.
Yeah, for sure. Luke Serber in a tough one with Wyatt Volker again. Those 2 guys are very, very similar wrestlers. They both really good in scrambling positions, really good on their feet. Serber just able to hold him down. Ultimately, his ability to ride has really proven to be a big separator for him this season.
Yeah, Luke's really improved on top, especially with his leg riding. He did a little bit of it in the past, but I think it's definitely taken another step this season. I was pretty impressed with Volker too. During this match, he just he looks like he's a handful to wrestle. Got the Serber's leg multiple times, and Server was just, he was sober. He was stingy defensively, and found his way to one takedown and just found a way to win the match, which was great. Pretty much sealed the duel for us, and it was a good solid match on the road for Luke Server, especially over someone that that has beaten him in the past.
Definitely. These two guys, like I said, they're matched up well with each other, and that was the ultimate thing in this duel, is that Iowa State are not, excuse me, UNI and Oklahoma State just really matched up extremely well against each other. I mean, it was a perfect storm. UNI definitely could have pulled the upset. You flip the Fish Downey match, and Amin doesn't score a bonus point, and it's tied, I think. Yeah, it's -5. Actually, they would win 17-16. So extremely close matchup. And you could rely on Wyatt Hendrickson to go out and do his thing, get off the mat as fast as he possibly can. It seems like that's his goal. Every time he steps on the mat is to get off of it. But he overmatched Lance Runyon. I mean, there's not much to talk about there. And that's just kind of been true across the season. He overwhelmed the number 4 guy in the country at this point. So it's Wyatt's Wyatt, and he's doing his thing. But can't speak enough to how good this duel was. It was a just extremely tightly contested duel, the closest that Oklahoma State has had this year. And again, I kind of stand by this. I think it was the toughest duel on the schedule for the Cowboys. I know Iowa is sitting out there, and we'll look into that in a couple weeks. But man, UNI, tough, extremely impressive what they've done up there. And I know Schwab hates that. I know he hates to have his head pat and said, "You did really good, even though you lost." But man, they are a good team, and I hope he stays at UNI. I think is the big thing. That guy with resources is terrifying.
Yeah, I think Coach Schwab, he's done a really, really good job at UNI. If I'm the University of Iowa, and if I'm looking anywhere, that's probably the guy that I'd be looking to come take over the program whenever it's time, which would definitely be scary for the rest of the country. He's done such a good job. You just listen to him in videos and stuff that get posted on social media, and everything he says just makes sense. He's just a great coach, I think, and does a really good job at motivating guys to perform at their best, which is really all you can ask for as a coach.
Yeah. Well, and then just developing guys into, to the point of Ryder Downey just is out of nowhere. Parker Kickeisen wasn't a blue chip guy. I think he was a top 50 recruit. But he wasn't on everybody's radar by any means. And now he's a national champ and 4-time All-American, going for his 5th. Drew Foster was that way when he won his national championship. Cale Happel was an unheralded Iowa guy. He goes out there and he finds these diamonds and just polishes them up, makes them really, really competitive. And man, that's tough to do in this sport right now. The math is out there that if you're going to win national championships, it needs to be with top 20 recruits. Like if you sign guys who are top 20 in their recruiting classes and the top 1 or 2 in their weight classes, then you're going to start winning national championships. And to go out and be as competitive as they are without that is really, really cool. It's really cool to see. So
yep, definitely impressive.
Pokes went across the state to Ames, took on Iowa State on Sunday night, and similar thing kind of happened here in the first half of the lineup. Iowa State came up and really punched Oklahoma State in the mouth. You kick things off with Troy Spratley getting a major decision, and then Reese Whitcraft went out and wrestled Evan Frost. Evan Frost, returning All-American, the favorite to win the Big 12 at 133 this year. and Whitcraft actually wrestled a really good match with him. He got a nice outside trip takedown on him that was good to see. Frost kind of opened it up a little bit, and at the end, as Whitcraft was going for it to win, do Whitcraft things, but unfortunately dropped that one, and then you ended up dropping a few more. Jacob Frost upset Tegan Jameson. Panera Johnson beat Carter Young in another close matchup, and then we'll talk about 157 when we get to it. But Cody Chittum beat Caleb Fish. Just kind of a tough run there for the Pokes. A tough weekend for the lower weights.
Yeah, you definitely you haven't seen that this year, and then it's really unexpected. You see it in back-to-back duels where Troy goes out, kind of does his thing. Did give up the first 2 takedowns against Iowa State, but then really turned it on and was the Troy Sproutley that we've become expected to see. And then those next 3 weights, we just couldn't get a whole lot going. Reese, he did a good job in the first period. Go and got a takedown, but just kind of like I've said about our guys all year, it's going to take more than one takedown to beat us, and the same goes for those top guys in the country, like Evan Frost. It's going to take more than one takedown to beat that guy most of the time. And Reese, he kind of got into the scramble that ended up leading to the 7 points. He did a good job of not giving up the takedown, and then he just kind of looked like he was going to hold on for a stalemate instead of advance the position and try to score. And Evan Frost just kept wrestling and ended up getting the takedown and had a cross wrist and got the tilt. So Reese just he just has to keep wrestling in those scrambles instead of holding on for a stalemate. I think that if he just keeps wrestling and tries to win that position instead of just hold on, I think that he would either get the stalemate or get the takedown, and then obviously that match is a lot different. I definitely think Reese can beat him in a rematch. He's in the match the whole time. I think on their feet they're very similar. Obviously Frost is pretty good on top, but Reese did a good job of getting out in the first or in the second period whenever he started down. So it's not the end of the world to drop a match in the regular season, but it was good to see Reese go out and wrestle this time. We haven't seen him for a couple of weeks, so it was good to see him go out and get a takedown against top 5 guy. He's definitely obviously he's feeling better than he was, so it was good to see him out there.
Yeah, it was a nice takedown too. I mean, I really appreciate the way that he kind of worked through his positions there. What was going to be the best thing for him to finish off of those double unders, right? So,
yeah.
And he ended up in just an underhook and saw an opportunity to get his leg around, trip him, and it was good. It was a really, really, really skilled takedown, and yeah, it's just nice to see him back. We haven't seen him at all in January, so that certainly helps. And he was still the starter. I know we got excited about Hughes with his win over Arini and all that stuff, but Whitcraft is still the starter. He's still the guy, so it's definitely nice to see him back out there. And 3 more duels, and so it's going to get sorted out, I imagine. And he's got 3 more very difficult opportunities to go out. I think all 3 of the guys he's got coming up against Missouri, Little Rock, and Iowa are guys that all have a chance to make the podium. Missouri a little bit out there, but still big time matchups. Yeah, and then Tegan kind of fell into the same trap that we saw a lot last year, and then in the Happel match too, just couldn't really get his offense going. In that one.
It's just a similar match, really. They wasn't a whole lot of action on their feet, and people are going to start game planning for Tegan. They're going to know that he likes that post double leg, and they're going to stay out of the ties with him, slow the match down. And, that's when Tegan's got to pick up his intensity and find a way to score. No one knows what kind of score it's going to be. It could be a go behind, it could be a single leg, high crotch, it could be, who knows. But it's not going to come unless he raises intensity and, kind of forces the action a little bit. And I've said multiple times, it's okay to drop some matches in the regular season. It gives you the opportunity to go back in the room and work on some things, and I expect Hagan and the coaching staff to do that. And same thing with Carter. Moving on 149. It's kind of similar. They're in really similar situations this weekend where they both drop both their matches, and just they both have time. They have time to get better, time to work on some things over the next month or so. So it'll be exciting to see what them and the coaching staff come up with to improve.
Yeah. I guess ultimately you can't hide when you're the number 4 guy in the country, can you? Like, to
Yeah.
your point, they're going to know what you're looking to do, what you like to do, and they're going to plan for it, especially if they're an underdog. They're going to go look and see, like, how can I best put myself in a position to win this thing? It's out there. If you're highly ranked, if you're
Yeah.
number 11, number 15, you can kind of skirt sometimes on guys maybe not having a specific game plan for you. But when you're number 4 in the country, that's not going to be the case, is it? So
Yeah. Whenever you're one of the top guys of the weight, you're always going to get most people's best. They're going to get their best every time that you step out there. So that's something that's a little bit new for Tegan over the last month or so. He had a good early season and got ranked up there pretty high, and he had some really good wins along the way. But now the target's on his back a little bit rather than flip. So, and it'll be all right. He'll be all right. He's going to face a little bit of adversity, but adversity is what builds champions in the end.
definitely. Pressure is a privilege, right? So, he had a controversial match here at 157 with Caleb Fish getting knocked off by Cody Chittum. Now, Chittum, extremely talented sophomore. Had a great year last year for Iowa State as a true freshman. There were some questions about him redshirting this year, and then with Paniro Johnson being up at 57, but then they shuffled the lineup. They brought him out of redshirt. Whatever. He needed this win bad too. So it's frustrating when it gets into kind of a controversial thing, and I think everybody kind of nails it out there if you're not an Iowa State fan, and says like, well, Caleb Fish had a takedown there. When was that, in the third period? And
Yep.
they called reaction time on the mat, and then Chittum stood up and kind of just ran off the mat. They kind of missed a stall warning there as well. So bit of a frustrating finish there for Fish in this one, when you can really plausibly see it going the other way. See it being a 5-4 win for Fish. Probably should have been, quite frankly. But again, putting it in the hands of the officials, that's just not a place you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to leave it up to the officials, but you hit the guy, you get to go behind, and the guy, you can pretty obviously see the guy on video, use his hand to push himself up to stand up.
Right.
I think that's past reaction time. It's reaction time is supposed to be the guy's behind you, and your hand's on the ground, but you bring it up fairly quick. There's no weight on that hand, and I think there was a significant amount of weight on Cody Chittum's hand before he got his hand up, and then obviously he ran out of bounds and didn't get hit for stalling on that as well. So it's definitely something that they need to look at. NCAA, the rules committee, they need to look at that reaction time, those calls, and just they got to come up with something to get those kind of calls right. It happens too often where those calls don't end up the right way, in my opinion. So they need to find a way to, if there's significant weight on the guy's hand, you got to call a takedown. And I think that the reaction time was more for guys that are rolling a lot, which I can see where there should be some reaction time there. But when the guy's just using his hand to stand up, and you're not giving points. It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious it was a takedown to me. But you can't leave it up to the officials. And Fish still had 45 seconds around there to score a takedown after that. And he pretty much just ran around the mat in double. I think Fish had double unders for the majority of that, so he could have been hit for stalling a couple more times, and they didn't hit him. But
yeah,
tough match for Fish. But same thing. Just he got time to get better. Not the end of the world. He's. I think that I would take him in a rematch if they hit again at Big 12. So it'll all work itself out.
Yeah, this weight, 157 at Big 12s is just wide open, really. If I'm looking at, do they still do Big 12 rankings? I don't think there's really a standout guy. Fish and
got Fish, Downey
and Chittum and Zerman.
And then Zerman, the Northern Colorado.
So it's just kind of you probably do see them again.
Yep.
Whether it be in the finals or maybe it's a third place match, maybe it's a semifinals matchup, right? And it's just, I like Fish in it as well. Fish has been performing extremely well. I mean, I think that, end of the day, he's mixed up his offense quite a bit. He obviously likes to go upper body a lot, and that seems to be working for him. And when you're not, I guess they call that Hilton magic. When you're not in Hilton and you're not, trying to, hit the guy with and take out the refs at the same time, it's he probably does get a stall call or a couple more stall calls in there. But it just is, that's the way it goes sometimes. So definitely like it. Definitely think that Fish at the end of the day is in a good spot this season. And then the upper weights are just the story. The tail is there on the upper weights. 165 and up, everybody performed extremely well. Took care of business, scored bonus points. I think that it was Amin got an 11-4 decision. I know he was kind of frustrated, or he seemed a little frustrated by not getting that last takedown, separating it out a little bit more, which is good to see. It's good to see him be frustrated in that situation.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, it's tech fall for Hamity, major for Plot against a pretty tough Evan Bachman, 11-2 major. Plot, 184 is so crazy. And that you've got like Storaci's there or whatever, and he's great. Of course, he's a generational guy. But you've got Keckeisen separating himself from Plot, who separated himself from everybody else. It's just kind of wild that it's in that situation for them. And then Luke Serber was wrestling a really good match. He was up big on Bartlett when Bartelt injury defaulted out. And then Wyatt Henderson got a 3.5-minute tech over the heavyweight. So, again, nobody hates being on the mat more than Wyatt Hendrickson, but also nobody's having more fun in college wrestling than Wyatt Hendrickson. So that's a good combo of things to have there. But great stuff from the upper weights.
Yeah, the back half of the lineup, wrestled just about as good as they could have against Iowa State. I don't know if Cam didn't know if he had the major or if he thought he needed another takedown or what. Because he could have definitely put a little bit more of a ride on the guy with pretty short time left, and just kind of let him up. So I don't know if he thought he needed one more takedown or not. But it's good to see him frustrated. He wrestled as good as I've seen him wrestle this weekend. So that was two really good matches out of him. Was working to put up points the whole time, which was really good to see.
Amin seems to really turn it on when, at this point, every year. You have your tough week, right? Like where training gets a little hard. You start to feel the grind of the season. And every year at Michigan and this weekend, heck, last week as well. Amin seems to just kind of take that and crank it up. It seems like he kind of kicks into, okay, time to get serious, you know. Not that he wasn't serious before. He obviously is, but just guy seems to have a gear that he hits here in mid-January, February, which makes him even more impressive, I think, is as a wrestler.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see the rest of the guys too. Obviously get bonus points from there on out. Wrestled the full 7 minutes, looking to score the whole time. Couldn't have really asked for much better. It was good team win for the Cowboys. Especially getting the opportunity to wrestle on national TV on ESPN. That was big to see. Obviously there was a couple football games going on, but I don't think the numbers have came out of how many people were watching, but I'm sure it was a decent amount. So it was good to win those duels on national television.
Yes, yeah. Getting wrestling on national TV is a big deal, even if there's the conference championships for the NFL. ESPN is just on in a lot of places. It's just a default in a lot of waiting rooms and restaurants and whatever. So, heck, it's background noise for some people. So if they look over and they see and they get interested, that's awesome. Like that's a big thing for the sport, and I'm sure the numbers are going to come out, and some people are going to use it to be negative because that's just how it seems to go. But it's awesome to have it out there, and it's awesome to have ESPN continue to put Iowa State, Oklahoma State on their broadcasts because we're partnered up with it. I mean, the Big 12 is partnered with ESPN, and it's pretty tight. So it's really awesome to see. This coming Sunday, the Pokes have Missouri coming to town, 2:00 Central in Gallagher. Should be a great time. I know they're having the tailgate beforehand, and then the Pokes Wrestling Casino Night is the night before. And probably should spend some time differentiating between the different clubs now that are out there. There's Cowboy RTC, which is Zahid Valencia, the senior level wrestlers, like it's specifically in the Cowboy RTC that are training for world and Olympic titles, going out, participating in these different training camps, doing the different things that you need to do for USA Wrestling, all that stuff, right? So Cowboy RTC kind of sits as a competitive organization. Then you've got the Cowboy Wrestling Club as a kids club, right? So that's the Zoe and Jasper Lockett and them that's Cowboy Wrestling Club and how they're operating as a kids club. And then to kind of separate from that is the Pokes Wrestling Club, which is to support the college program and what needs to be put together as resources for NIL, travel, all the different things that are out there that we need to compete in the modern scope of college athletics. So, Pokes Wrestling, extremely important to have these fundraisers, and that's who you're going to see it coming from now. But it was designed to kind of differentiate from the other two because it's not a competitive organization. It's just a support club, kind of like the White Jacket Club used to be. And, of course, the Cowboy Wrestling Club, they kind of consolidated the brands, but now you separated it back out. So, but they're having their casino night on Saturday night. Going to be a lot of fun, a lot of opportunities to meet and mingle with everybody. I'm sure you will not be there actually, but a lot of other folks will be there and be a part of it. I'll be there. I'm heading up this weekend to catch the duel, so it should be a really good time. So make sure if you don't have tickets already, go to Pokes Wrestling and get a ticket and support Cowboy Wrestling. This is the best way that you can support Cowboy Wrestling is by kicking money over to Pokes Wrestling.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a fun night. Get to see. I'm sure some of the guys on the team will probably show up for a little bit. Get to see the coaches mingle with everybody. Cowboy Wrestling, it's a big family, so it's always fun whenever you get everybody in the same room and it's it'll be a good time for sure.
Definitely. The duel, Missouri, they may have the worst injury bug that I've seen a team have right now. Just it seems like everybody is kind of out of their lineup. Noah Certain had to medically retire from the sport. He was their 125 pounder. Somehow has never made the podium, but has consistently been one of the most electric 125 pounders of the last few years. Keegan O'Toole, their national champion, at 165 pounds, bumped to 174, but he's been out all of January. It doesn't sound like he's going to be back for this duel either. So that takes the marquee matchup off the board between him and Hamity. And then Rocky Elam at 197, consistently a top 5 guy, a multiple-time All-American for them. He has been out for the year. He hasn't wrestled once this season. I think they announced that they're going to they shut him down and they're going to try to get him a medical red shirt. So really, really tough for Missouri this year. But there are still a couple of bright points in their lineup that I think we should definitely highlight. And 2 of them are Oklahoma guys. At 125 pounds, you've got Gage Walker from Bixby. He's the starter. He stepped in for Noah Certain, and they've ridden with him as a true freshman up there at 125 pounds. He's actually having a pretty good year at 10-6 on the season. He's picked up a couple good wins. He's wrestled really tough against all of his opponents in his 6 losses. So kind of a dangerous guy. And him and Troy are very familiar with each other, both coming from Eastern Oklahoma and wrestling in Coach Guerrero's club there in Bixby for a while. And they definitely know each other well. This could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I think that Walker, he's been in every batch that he's wrestled this year. He's had 6 losses, but he's been in every one of those losses. Lost to Richie Figueroa by a point. He's in every match he wrestles. So, obviously Troy and him have probably wrestled a lot in the past, so he'll be ready for that match. And I expect Troy to continue doing what Troy does and go out there and lead us off the right way.
Definitely. Cade Moore taking on probably Reese Whitcraft. I think that's an interesting matchup. Moore is pretty tough. Really good wrestler. He had a really good start to last season and then got injured in a kind of bizarre situation and then fell off when he came back. That still he's really kind of turned it around over the last few matches. He's had some really good dual matchups here over the past few weeks. So he's going to be looking to, I think he actually beat Julian Klebov, right, at Arizona State.
Yep.
So he's got an opportunity to continue his trend here, but you've also got Whitcraft coming in and needing to kind of reestablish his winning ways if he's going to be the starter. Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure it's senior night, so I'm sure we'll see Reese go.
That's true.
It'll be probably one of the more exciting matches of the duel, if not the most exciting match, just because he's the kind of wrestler that really kind of lets it fly. He's a big move kind of guy. And we know that Reese is pretty similar in that way too. So I expect there to be some points on the board. Maybe even a fall if it presents itself out of Reese. It'd be good to see, especially on senior night. Send him off the right way.
Definitely, that'd be amazing to see. You've also got 165 pounds Cam Steed, again Bartlesville. Collinsville, Oklahoma guy.
Yep.
Who came on as a true freshman in his redshirt year. He looked really, really strong. Last year, he stepped behind Keegan O'Toole and had an opportunity to cut down to 157, but they had not Jared Jake Hughes, who's that 149-pounder that bumped up.
Brock
Mahler, that's right. The all-name team. That he set behind. So he's waited his turn, and this year he's actually wrestling really well. He's 8-3 on the year, ranked, and this past weekend he had Peyton Hall dead to rights, quite frankly, and just kind of ran out of steam at the end of the second period and in the third period, and Hall came back and won a tight match with Cam Steed. So could be a good test here for Cam Amin, and for Steed as well. I think it's a really good. It's probably right there with Cade Moore on being a marquee matchup for sure.
Yep, definitely. Cam Steed, he's from Collinsville. He wrestled with me and my dad at the Team Big Club back whenever he was pretty young. So I know Cam pretty well. He's always been excited to watch. Kind of goes and lets it fly a lot like Moore and those guys. So it'll be a fun match for sure. Kind of a stylistic. It's a little complete opposites. He kind of really goes forward, and we know Cam. He's our Cam Amin. He a little bit more defensive. So it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Other than that, I mean, it's you got to like the Pokes the rest of the way. Hate that O'Toole's out and unhealthy. Hopefully he comes back as strong as ever, and we get to see a Hamady O'Toole Big 12 finals, right? I hate that'll be their first hit. I would have liked to see them in this duel, but that's the way it breaks sometimes in this sport. So it's the rest of the way. Pokes looked really good. I mean, it sounds like they're heavyweights out. So you've got Seth Nitzel, who's 5-6 on the year. Colton Hawks, Dustin Plott is a pretty good matchup, but Plott's just continued to separate. So got to like him there. And across the board, I think, we're going to have a pretty good time on Sunday cheering on the Pokes.
Yeah, I definitely, expect the Pokes to win, pretty handily. Another match that I didn't mention earlier was 141 pounds. It'll be a rematch from Big 12s where Josh Edmonds actually beat Tegan at Big 12s last year in a pretty close match. So especially after dropping 2 matches this weekend, I expect Tegan to have a little bit of fire, coming out in the last home duel of the year. It'll be good to go out there and get a win over someone that beat you last year.
Yeah, Edmonds very tough, very strong defensive wrestler. So yeah, I mean, how can Tegan open things up a little bit? To your point, exactly. I think you're spot on there. So, going to be a fun one again. Make sure to come to Casino Night and check out the Post Wrestling website to go figure out how to sign up for that. I'll post something in the notes here of the podcast to encourage y'all to go do that. It's a good time for sure. I'm sure Coach Smith will be there and all kinds of people from times past. So it'll be a good one. And then again, make sure you go support Cowgirls Wrestling and what they're doing over there. So fun times, Daton. Great to have you back. We'll be back again next week with a recap of the Missouri duel, looking ahead at Little Rock and more exciting things to come. A lot of things to be excited about for Cowboy Wrestling here.
Yep, really excited. It was thanks for having me on.